Hello, and today we're going to be talking about algebra, more specifically, parallel and perpendicular lines.
So, write it out so that's nice and neat. Parallel parallel lines are lines that, well, never touch. There are obviously multiple lines, but let me give a quick example of a parallel lines. So, for example, this equation, we'll say, is y equals x. This equation, y equals x plus 1. These two lines, well, that's not very straight. These two lines, they will never intersect. I don't know if that's cool or if that's pretty sad. Either way, it's what mathematicians accept. No matter, as we know that since lines go on for infinity and beyond, no matter how far these two lines go, no matter how far out they go, they will never, ever touch each other.
Now, the reason this is because when you have two lines, to have them be parallel, the slopes must be the same.
Because since the slope is how steep the line goes up, if they go up at the same steepness and if they're in a different position to start off at, they will obviously never touch. That didn't. Oh, well, I wrote slope is the same. Slope are the same. All right. Now, that being said, that also means that the y-intercepts must be different.
Now, if the y-intercepts were the exact same, and since the slopes are already the exact same, the lines would in fact be the exact same lines.
Yeah,
that would just be one line.
Pretty anticlimactic, if I do say myself. For example, if the y-intercept was the same, as the slope is the same, and the y-intercept is the same, and it intersects the y-axis at 0, same line. Won't make any difference. They will have infinite many intersections. While when their y-intercepts are different, they will have 0. True parallel lines, their y-intercepts are different.
Now, for example, if you were given a question in class, the teacher gave you a line, and then you had to find the line parallel to that line, how would you do it? So say you were given the equation y equals 2x plus 1, and you were asked to find the parallel line to that.
A parallel line to it.
A parallel line to that.
Because there are infinitely many parallel lines. So, what you do, you have to, we know that the slope must be the same. So that's somewhere to start. In fact, that's somewhere we can end as well. The line y equals 2x is in fact parallel to y equals 2x plus 1 because the y-intercept is 0 in this equation. But, as we said before, that's a little anticlimactic. So we will go and maybe say 2x plus 100. Make it hard for you to graph. This is an example of a parallel line. The y-intercepts are different, but the slope are the same.
So the reason the y-intercept can be anything you want in this example is because we already derived that the two lines are equal, because as long as the slopes are the same, the lines are automatically equal.
Alright, and that's enough about parallel lines. Now we're going to talk about perpendicular lines. Okay, so now let's make a nicely title for perpendicular lines. Perpendicular lines. Alright, so perpendicular lines, just like parallel lines, are obviously two or more lines. Now, the cool part about perpendicular lines are that they are obviously perpendicular, but you might be asking what that means. That means that they intersect at a right angle. That means that this angle right here is right, and so is this one, and so is this one, and so is this one. They're all right angles. Now, perpendicular lines, the slope of perpendicular lines is, they are negative, whoops, they are, slopes are negative reciprocals
when compared to another line that is perpendicular to it. So you might be wondering what a negative reciprocal is. So let's first talk about what a reciprocal is. So the reciprocal of 5,
whoops,
or 2, or 5,
or 2,
or 2,
or 5,
so
of 5.
The reciprocal of 5 would be 1 over 5. So basically, you do a flip, and then you get 1 over 5.
Yeah. More specifically, it's when the reciprocal is a number that you multiply 5 by, or the original number by, to get 1. And in this case, it is 1 over 5. A special trick to find a reciprocal is that the reciprocal of 5, aka 5 over 1, is a flip. You bring the bottom to the top and the top to the bottom, and you get 1 over 5. For example, with the equation maybe with 3 over 7, the reciprocal of that is 7 over 3. You do a flip and a flip. So now, a negative reciprocal is basically the negative of the reciprocal, hence the name. So let's say we're trying to find the slope of a, let's say we're trying to find the slope of or a line perpendicular y equals 2x plus 1. So what we'd have to first do is find the negative reciprocal. That's 1 over 2, because we do a flip. Over 1, flip. It's not very good. 2 over 1, flip. So we do a flip, and then we multiply it by negative 1, and we get negative 1 over 2. Ta-da! So this line itself is a negative reciprocal, is a perpendicular line, because the y-intercept of perpendicular lines do not matter, or there's no specific, what's the word? There's no specific
use for them, practically.
Yeah, because the y-intercept of a perpendicular lines can have any relationship. That's the word. For example, it could be plus 3, or it could be plus 7, or it could be plus 1, or it could be plus nothing. It could be plus 0. And
so what about if you were given the equation y equals negative 2x plus 1?
2x plus 1.
Now for this, if you want to find a line perpendicular to it, you would practically do the same thing, except to flip it, you would first find the reciprocal, which would be negative 1/2. Negative 1/2. Then, since it's a negative reciprocal, you basically do that times negative 1, so that would be 1/2.
1/2. Ta-da! That is the negative reciprocal. So this is a perpendicular line. And that will be all for this chapter. Yes, congrats, guys. Now, I'm assuming that you guys have a chapter test or something that you're taking at school, or if you're just learning algebra for fun, you could still take our practice problems, but we're going to put a couple practice problems in the description. And the next video is called a boss video. Let's introduce you to that. A boss video is a video that explains why the things that we taught are important and what are the uses of each of these things in the real world. So, check that out, the boss video, and we'll see you on Friday.